It's Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I hope your week is going well. As I said yesterday, I'm still a little thrown off because of Labor Day Monday. I keep forgetting I'm always a day behind, but it actually is Wednesday today, and I hope everyone's week's going well, enjoying it, and getting closer to the weekend. I'm glad that you've joined us. First, if you are joining us live, I would love to know where you are from, your location. Just give us a in the comments where you are listening in from. Hi, Becca. Thank you for joining. I'm glad that you're here. Everyone else who's on, I would love to hear from you. Give me where you're at, or just say hey in the comments, and would love to chat with you. Today, we're going to be diving into the next section of our toddler and preschooler sleep series. I highly recommend, if you haven't had a chance yet, I would go back and watch yesterday's session, because yesterday's session was really important on analyzing our sleep, starting at the basics, getting the building blocks, as we call them, to really understand what's happening with your little one's sleep. And it's a really important day. So then you can make sure today and tomorrow that you're taking away as much as you can from this session. You can find it in the unit section in the group, and happy to share it with you as well. Today you should have received in your inbox, hey Hillary, thanks for joining. You should have received an email this morning that gave you a handout. We're going to be talking about that handout today, and it's really giving you some additional information and tips on the sleep environment. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about setting up the sleep environment, because once we go from baby into toddler preschool age, our sleep environment changes, especially when we're talking about a little one who's going to be out of the crib and going into the toddler bed. So we're going to see some changes there. We're also going to talk about some of my favorite products, because at this age we do tend to see more products that we are using in the room. And I'm going to tell you some of my favorite ones so you can research, and if you're looking for some of those, have those on hand. And then we're going to talk about just healthy sleep habits that we could start incorporating to better sleep, starting now. Get some better sleep habits going for today. So I'm really excited about today because there's a lot of great information. So a lot of different resources I'm going to be talking about. So if you have pencil and paper or your favorite app or notepad on your phone, I would open it up just so you can jot down some of the things I'm talking about, and you can also refer back to this video at a later time if needed, but there's going to be a lot of things I'm talking about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the sleep environment. So the biggest thing with the sleep environment is there are some aspects of it that are going to change as we go from a younger baby, even younger toddler, into the older toddler preschool age. Especially, like I said earlier, when we are transitioning out of that crib, there's a lot of things we have to think about in the sleep environment. And what happens too is a lot of times our little ones are vocal now, and they can start asking for things or wanting things, and it's good to know what we need in there and what we don't need in there. So first I'm going to start with talking about some of the things on your handout that we talked about today with the sleep environment. The first thing is white noise. Now, white noise is nothing new. I like to see that from day one as an infant all the way up until my children, myself. I actually started almost 2 years ago implementing white noise for myself, and I actually can tell a huge difference in my sleep, especially in the early morning hours. So the white noise is important to be the minimal noise. You want 65 decibels, and the loudest you want the white noise to go is 85 decibels. They actually have apps, they're free apps that you can download, a decibel reader, and you can put it near your sound machine to see if it's too high or too low. Some of them are very, very loud, and you need to adjust the sound. We don't want it like a rock concert near your child's ears. That's not safe and can actually cause issues, so you want to be sure that you have the right sound on the sound machine at the level of it. The next thing is going to be darkening of the room. A lot of times what happens is people think, oh, I don't have a baby anymore. The light's not going to affect them as much. We can take down these blackout shades or curtains, but actually We need to keep those up and implement them if you don't already, because number one, a lot of toddlers and preschoolers are still napping. So it's extra light during the day. And then also you have little ones who the hardest time of the morning is the early morning wakings. So we want to avoid that by putting up your favorite blackout shades. They make shades, they make curtains, they make blinds, blackout blinds. Sometimes it's a combination of blackout blinds and your favorite drape covering, because then you can make it easy to open up in the morning during awake time. That's very important to remember, that darkness. And then when you are waking up from nap or from overnight sleep, I like to do what's called a dramatic wake up. And that just means you're going to open those blinds up, you're going to use a louder voice, you're going to turn off the sound machine, you're going to let them know that it's time to get going and we're not in sleep mode anymore. Next is the temperature. So right now we're fixing to enter that phase in a lot of parts of the country where we have cooler mornings and it's warmer in the evenings. So your house can be fluctuating right now, so you really need to watch it, because our little ones sleep better in cooler environments. And if they're going to bed where it's been warmer in the day and they are more hot natured and they're warm in the evening, it's going to be really hard to settle off to sleep. And the same thing happens in the morning. If they get too cold, then we've got issues of them waking up earlier due to that temperature change. So you want to watch that. Here's another problem I see, whether they be in the crib or the bed, is a lot of times we start implementing too much. Because once we get to 12 months of age and older, you can start implementing more things. You can have a pillow, you can have blankets, they can have loveys, and that's great, and we want to keep seeing them have those things. But what happens is a lot of times our children start asking for more. Well, I want that baby doll, and I want that toy, and I need to sleep with this book, and that's my favorite toy that, oh, we forgot it makes sound. And so now our crib or our bed is filled up with all these things that, number one, can distract them from falling asleep. They can be playing for long extended times. They could be having something in there that makes noise, and in the early morning hours they wake up, and instead of going off to sleep, they have so many things that they're doing. They are actually, waking up early wanting to play with the extra stuffed animals they have, the extra books you left in there for them to read. And then you notice that they're waking at 5:30, and that becomes 5 a.m., and that becomes 4:30 a.m., early and earlier to do these things. So it's really important that you keep the basics in the bed and the crib. If they are using a pillow, that's fine. We've got a blanket, great. Their favorite lovey, okay. They still have a passy, perfect. But what happens is if they start demanding extra things, start giving those choices. Okay, well, tonight we can have this lovey or this favorite stuffed animal. Which one do you want to choose tonight? Remember, we've talked about in the past how choices are important. Give them the choice of what they want. And usually they will start to see that pattern of, okay, I'm not going to demand everything and get all the things I want in here, so I'm going to choose which one I want for tonight. The next is electronics. This is huge. We all know as our little ones get older, there's so much more. Everything is technology pretty much nowadays. But what happens is we have that technology in the evening leading up to bedtime. We're creating a tougher time for our bodies to settle down to sleep. And technology is a part of that environment, because we are trying to settle them as we get into the sleep environment and get into their room for bedtime. So you want to be sure and start cutting those electronics. And that goes iPads, the TV, any toys that they have that have a lot of sounds and technology on them, anything at all. A lot of times we just think of like the cell phone or the TV or iPad, but we have to think about certain toys that they have now that are very overstimulating in the evening, so we've got to cut those as well. I say to cut it, if you can, a good 30 minutes before you even start your bath or bedtime routine. I know little ones don't always take a bath every single night, but if they are, then about 30 minutes before that or 30 minutes before that bedtime routine is really important to cut it. Lights. This is a big one at this age, right? So actually we need to sleep in 100% darkness. That way our melatonin can set into place, which usually happens around when the sun is setting in the evening. We start to have melatonin come in place. Melatonin is in our body, natural melatonin is in our body up until midnight is the highest point of it. Melatonin is what helps us get into our sleep, and we need that natural melatonin. Well, if we don't have that and we have light happening, our melatonin can't set in, our natural melatonin is not able to set in place. So light, whether it be night lights, hall lights, flashing lights, any of that is going to cause us not to sleep as well. Now, with a baby, it's easier because they really don't know the difference between that. But once we start getting into that toddler preschool age, they start to notice to have fears and anxiety, and they can start to demand, I need a night light, I need a closet light, I need a light on my projector. So, one thing is we need to make sure, if you have to start implementing lights, because I get it, my 5-year-old is that way. What I started with was putting a very, very soft light into her bedroom. But I actually put it behind a piece of furniture. It was light and it was hidden behind the furniture, so it just gave that hint of light she needed. Once I had worked down her fears and anxieties for that, then I moved it to the bathroom, which is in the hallway outside. So it's still minimal light, but it's actually not in her room any longer. So that is an option that you can do. Another option is putting in, if you have a closet light when you shut the door, depending on how much space is in the bottom of the door, sometimes it's very minimal, so you can actually turn that closet light on and it gives just a hint of light. Grace is asking about the thoughts on the red light. So honestly, if you're going to try a light, I don't have an issue with you trying to see if those lights work without having any effect on it. I would rather you start with those red lights. Orange are supposed to be much better and sleep more inducive than the blue lights, right? The technology, that's where we talk about the technology lights are an issue, is because of that blue light that's happening. So most certainly, if you want to, you can try the red lights and see if there's any effect there, or if you notice the sleep is improving, they're feeling better with the red light, most certainly go for that, and that is fine to start. And that's the same thing with the lights like that I'm talking about, whether it be a night light, a soft light, a closet light. See how it does. Sometimes, honestly, just that soft light that you've put in place really does ease them and also gives them a little sense of, I can settle off to sleep a little better, or knowing that it's there. The problem usually tends to become when they're asking for more things, like I need the night light, plus I need my closet light, plus I need my lamp over here. And then we start to have issues, right? Because now we're requesting more and they're asking for more things to come in place. The next thing, this is huge, is staying calm and being consistent in the sleep environment. Consistency is going to win the race. The reason I say that is because your children and my children are looking to us for that consistency in the evening. They're looking to us for what's for dinner, when are we eating dinner, what are we having, where is bath time, when are we doing that. My kids have the routine to know that we come in, we have dinner time together, the girls get their baths. After bath time, we make sure we have our supplements, our medicines. We're getting geared up for bedtime routine. We know that my 3-year-old goes first, and then we go to my 5-year-old. So they're looking for that consistency from you. And it's very simple things. It doesn't have to be elaborate, especially if you don't have any consistency right now, or you're consistent, but it's still kind of one day we do this, then we're off a little bit, and then another day we do that. They're really looking to us to set the stage, right? That's what they're looking for. So make sure that they are calm, ready, and gearing up for a solid bedtime. I like to incorporate as well, as you're leading up to the bedtime, and this actually is a sleep habit for success that I'm going to go into right now, is when you're leading up to the evening, 20 to 30 minutes, I say carve out a piece of time that's just you and your family time. No technology, no devices, not being stirred up. It's a time where you can play a game, put a puzzle together, draw, color, matching games, all of those fun things that our kids love and really are seeking like a quieter time leading up to your bed and bath time routine. They actually start to look forward to those things. I know we can't do it every single night. I know we have life and things happen. So I understand that, but the majority of time we want to give them that in the evening so we can have a calm period leading up until the official bath and bedtime. So those are some of the main things that we're talking about when we talk about sleep environment. Now we're going to move into our favorite products. So there's a lot of products that I have at this age that are some of my favorites. And the reason being, I've used most of them with my own children, and I love them. So the first one I want to talk about, most of you probably have or heard of, is called the Hatch Rest. And the Hatch Rest is great because it's actually got a night light, an OK to wake, and a sound machine. The night light, obviously, like I said, if you have to use it, you can see how bright it is, or if it's, a low enough light, or you can sit away. I choose, to use that feature last, unless we have to. I find the night light on the Hatch is best used. I did this during the newborn stage or during the infant stage where you're getting up to feed your baby at night. You can simply turn that light on and then turn it off. But it has that. It has the OK to wake. So OK to wakes are very important at this age, and a lot of times people say, well, I have it, but it's not working. So the thing with the OK to wakes is you have to start getting your child to understand what it is, and you have to get them to care about the OK to wake. They're not just going to be like, oh, here's my clock and here's the colors, and you stay in your bed till it turns green. They are going to need you to really push them along to help them understand the different types of color, what they mean, give them incentive for wanting to stay in their bed, right? So that's really important. And then it has a sound machine. Now the thing with the Hatch on the sound machine is the volume can get very, very loud. I did a video a while back on just the Hatch and how loud the sound got. I couldn't even turn it up all the way because the sound bothered my ears so much. So just watch the sound if you are using that. The biggest thing on the Hatch is you can control it with your phone. So you can be in bed and say, oh, I forgot to set that OK to wake clock. Go into the app on your phone and set it. You need to turn the white noise up a little bit more. You can do it all from your phone, so you never have to enter your child's room. The next thing we're going to talk about is different OK to wake. So if you don't want that one, it is a little pricier. So if you don't want that one, then you can find different ones. I like the Little Hippo is a good OK to wake clock. And then there's one that they make, it's on Amazon, and it's a simple stoplight. It's red, green, yellow. So it simply just goes through. Red is it's time for bed, we're not going to get out. Yellow means you're almost, you're almost nearing that wake up time, and then green where you officially get up. So those are some other options. Next, we need to talk about safety features. Safety is huge at this age, especially once they're out of the crib. So you need to be thinking about what type of safety feature you're going to have at their bedroom door. And if there's a bathroom that leads into their room, making sure we put safety first. So the first thing you can do is baby gates. You can put a baby gate at the door. Sometimes you have to stack multiple ones up if you have climbers. Another option is called the door monkey. And the door monkey is a type of lock that actually they can see through the door. So you're not shutting it and locking them in there. It's just a feature to help them from not getting out, but it's still cracked, and each of you can see each other through the door and speak to each other if they are not okay or you're not okay with shutting the door. Those are important, and I tell families this all the time. We never know when our little one might wander around. We don't want them wandering around the house, period, but sometimes they can wander around, and we would never want it. It's happened before, unfortunately, for children to get outside. They're very big explorers, so we want to make sure that we have safety, and it also sets boundaries. It just sets a boundary there of, hey, this is your space, this is our bedtime, and you can make sure and get them to understand. A lot of times they start to understand that boundary, they get on board with your bedtime routine, they're sleeping better overnight, and you can remove it. It's not even a need to keep it up for a lot of children. The next thing is the bumpers for toddler beds. I use these for both of my girls, my 3 and my 5-year-old, and they're called the Hiccapop, Hiccapop, foam bumpers. They're great. So if you have a child, especially that's going from the crib to the toddler bed, or the big girl, big boy beds, you can put these bumpers in place. I've used several. These are the best at not moving out of place. It's important you have a tight fitting sheet though, because I have found if it's a loose sheet, then it's easier for any type of foam bumper to move around. I really like these. It gives them a secure space. It gives them a space where it's not as open as the big bed. And I find it really, really helps little ones feel more secure and snug. The right pillow. Grace says the bumpers are amazing. They really are. They're one of my favorite features. So as soon as my 3-year-old went to the toddler bed, I was like, order, we're getting those. The right pillow is important at this age. So if you have a younger toddler and you're starting to introduce a pillow, I find it best they make actual toddler pillows. And the memory foam ones seem to be a really good choice because it's not as big. It's more narrow, it's a smaller fit. It usually tends to fit their neck better. So I would really look into those. And then as they get older, they do make them, you know, for more preschool age, they might be a little bit more fluffier and all of that. So I would just kind of research. Sometimes you have to try the pillows to see what they're going to like best. It's not abnormal for them to not love, you know, the pillow at first. It's a big transition. So when they're ready, they'll come aboard with it when they are ready. Weighted blankets. My 5-year-old has this as well. Weighted blankets are really great for not even children, but not only children, but adults as well. The weighted blanket is a way to help soothe you and help calm the body when you are trying to get ready for sleep, and can actually help some children stay asleep better and longer. There's tons of blankets, and you just need to research. Obviously, at the toddler preschool age, you are usually starting with the lowest weight they have, which is around 3 pounds. That weight is usually started, and then it increases. It goes by your own body weight and increases as you get older. So I highly recommend looking into those, especially if a child that really is struggling to settle or is waking often in the night and struggling to settle back down. That weighted blanket can help give that, you know, relaxing time during sleep. Implement a good morning and evening routine chart. So just like we have a routine in the morning and our children do, we need to implement that at night. So a lot of times you can get a chart that has morning and evening routines, and they can actually be a part of that. You know, they can mark off when they've done certain things. They can, you know, make sure that they put stickers on when they complete things. Let them be a part of those morning and evening routines. That's huge. And you can buy these charts online. You can download them for free. It's kind of what you feel like. You can make your own. I am not that crafty or good, so I am definitely download mine for sure. So if your little one does not like a blanket, which is that happens, some don't enjoy it. If they are more hot-natured, you don't have to worry about it as much because they're not going to wake up, you know, too cold. But if they do get more cold, you need to make sure you put socks on their feet and dress them in long sleeves and long PJ bottoms to make sure they're not waking up too cold. It's normal for, and all my children do this, and they say it's actually a trend with the newer generations that they actually don't want to sleep under the covers. They don't want under a blanket, under a quilt. They actually sleep on top of it. So this is my children. They sleep on top of their bed, and then they have the blankets over them. Now my 5-year-old will sleep under the weighted blanket and then has an additional blanket to hold and kind of put over. But they say they want to sleep on top and then just want a light blanket if they feel like covering up. So you don't have to force a blanket if they don't want it. You just need to make sure that your sleep temperature is at a good spot, that, you know, our feet and our hands usually get the coldest. So you want to make sure and cover those feet up. Make sure we have socks on, long PJs and things, unless your house is on the warmer side and they are more hot-natured and can deal with that. There is also a blanket, and I can't off the top of my head remember who makes it. I know there's different companies, but it's actually a blanket that is like goes over your mattress, and it's like your mattress like kind of slides into the blanket, so it never comes off them, right? Because that's the problem, and that's why I say keep a sleep sack on a child up until the toddler years, because it's a way to keep them comfortable and keep them warm in a sleep sack that zips up. Well, this is what it does basically for your mattress. You're able to zip it, and the blankets aren't flying all over everywhere and coming off. So that's another option as well. This is one you have to think about when they are out of the crib is furniture. If you have one that's a climber or likes to, you know, explore the room a little much, You need to make sure and bolt down any furniture that they might be climbing on that could fall over, could harm them. I know we think, well, that's kind of silly. They're not going to do that. Yes, they will. So you need to make sure that it is safe and secure and there's not anything that can harm them if they do get to venture out. A video monitor, I still have one because there's one in my 5-year-old room and my 3-year-old. My 3-year-old is upstairs by herself, and my 5-year-old, as you know, has a lot of health issues. One of her biggest ones is rare seizure disorder, so I need to be able to see her and view her and see what's happening. So a good video monitor is still great at this age, especially once you've ended bedtime routine, you've ended nap time routine, and you are leaving. So you can still see what is happening in the room and know if you need to go back. If they're just trying to call you to stall or whatever they may be doing, you can actually see what's happening. And that's why I really like video monitors still at this age. Like I was talking about earlier, the next part we're going to go into is going to be these sleep habits for good success. I talked about one, just 20 to 30 minutes in the evening leading up to, bedtime and even nap time. Nap time obviously might be 10 minutes. If you can give them some extra 10 minutes before nap time or, 20 to 30 minutes at bedtime, just do some fun, quiet activities with them. You'll be amazed at how much it actually just kind of calms and leads them into it. Now, it's again going back to that consistency. You're going to have to consistently do it so they start to see what's happening. They start to see these changes. But at this toddler preschool age, usually 11 to 13 hours is where we see the total sleep. That means including the nap. So depending on their age, they might take a 1-hour nap and then sleep 10 hours overnight. They may need 11 hours total. Then you might have one that, needs 2 hours in the day and sleeping 11 hours, so they might be getting 13 hours overnight. So it's important to know how much your child needs. So a total of 11 to 13 is a good range. It's very important that you offer nutritious meals and snacks. The biggest thing that gets a lot of little ones in the evening especially are the snacks that they're eating. We need to avoid anything with caffeine. We need to avoid the soda, the junk food, anything with red dyes or any type of dyes. If we have that in the evening, it really stimulates and can cause issues for bedtime. So we want to watch what they're eating. Now, they do need snacks usually before bed, so offer those nutritious snacks to them so they are filled up and good to go before they go to bed, but just be cautious of what you're eating. This is a big one, and I deal with this often in my house, is not getting them amped up when you are in the bedtime routine or nearing the end of the bedtime routine. My husband really enjoys laying down with my little one and talking about the day and my 5-year-old, but he gets her amped up because they play and they do pretend play and they'll, just have fun times, but it amps her up and she already is a very particular sleeper. And the nights he does that, we can always know that it's going to be more of a battle to get her back to sleep because he amped her up right before the sleep period. So let's avoid that. Too long and too late of naps at this age, I see it often, is going to affect the bedtime and overnight sleep. So if your little one's not falling asleep till 1:30 or 2 and they're waking up at 4, you can better guarantee it's going to be a later bedtime for most of them. That can really affect a little one. Keeping a good set nap time in the midday is better. The later you get, the later your bedtime's going to be, and usually the more battles we're going to see. So just watch that. We do not want to put juice, milk, bottle, sippy cup, anything in their bed, especially if it's juice and milk. I've said that you can have a sippy cup of water or a cup of water next to the bed if needed. If they need a drink, that's okay, but we don't want them going in bed to fall asleep with things or having things in there that they're going to wake and drink from often during the night. The next thing we want to talk about is avoid those habits that you know are going to be hard to break. So things happen. Sometimes we just start with one little habit, but then that leads to another habit. It's really being conscious about it. Once you've implemented a habit that you're like, oh, I don't think that was, a great habit for us to incorporate in our bedtime or sleep time routine, try and nix it as quick as you can. Know that it became a habit for a reason, right? So know that it usually isn't going to break overnight. it's going to take you some time, but say it's a habit that's been in place for 7 days, it's going to be better to start removing that habit 7 days in versus 7 months in. Then we're really going to have, a lot more work usually to do. So you really want to watch the habits that you are implementing. So, as I said, today was filled with a lot of information, from the sleep environment to my favorite products, how they are used in the sleep environment, sleep success habits, how we can start changing some of these habits, tons of information, some of my favorite products. I would love if you have additional, I know a lot of times either you're watching this on replay or after you'll think of a question. I would love for you to pop the question in the comments and let me know. And I will answer it tomorrow on the live. And especially, I know a lot of times products will come up. While I do not know every product on the market, a good majority I have heard of or used or know about them, so I'll be happy to answer those questions. Tomorrow is another big day because we are going to be talking about how do we avoid those sleep time battles. We all at some point have gone through it, whether it be at nap time, bedtime, or both. So how can we avoid those sleep battles and what can we be doing? We're going to be talking about early morning wakings. That's one of the biggest things I get at this age. So we're going to talk about why do we see early morning wakings and what are some things we can do to improve those early morning wakings. And then we're going to have 3 major takeaways from this series to start seeing better sleep. All the things we're going to talk about tomorrow, you're going to have an additional handout resource that's coming to you tomorrow in your email. I will also share it in the group as well. So we'll be ready for day 3. And then tomorrow I have a huge announcement that I'm really excited about. There's also going to be an announcement with a giveaway in it. So you want to be sure that you join because we're going to end it with a bang, and I'm very excited and can't wait to share it with you all. So be sure, if you're watching this on replay, please tell me where you're from, #replay, and I will be chatting with you again tomorrow. Send those questions to me, send those comments to me, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.